Imagine two countries that were once part of the same family, but then decided to split apart. One became a tiny powerhouse, one of the richest countries in the world. The other grew into a large and diverse nation with its own unique charm, strengths, and struggles. I'm talking about Singapore and Malaysia. They share history, culture, and even food. But when you look closely, they are completely different worlds. So today, let's break down the real differences between Singapore and Malaysia, from money to culture, from food to lifestyle, and from politics to everyday life. Stay until the end, because some of these differences will surprise you. Chapter 1. History, Brothers Who Fell Apart. To understand the differences between Singapore and Malaysia, we have to go back to the early 1960s. At that time, Singapore wasn't yet the shining city we know today. It was part of Malaysia. The union seemed like a good idea. Singapore brought a booming port and an energetic workforce, while Malaysia offered land, natural resources, and political stability. But cracks appeared almost immediately. Singapore's population was majority Chinese, while Malaysia's leaders emphasized the Malay identity and privileges. This clash of race, culture, and politics made the partnership shaky. Tensions grew over economics too. Singapore wanted free trade and rapid industrialization, while Malaysia leaned toward protecting its rural economy. By 1965, disagreements exploded into riots and political deadlock. The solution? Separation. Malaysia's parliament voted overwhelmingly to expel Singapore. Imagine that, a country being forced into independence. At the time, many believed Singapore was doomed. It had no oil, no farmland, no minerals, just overcrowded slums, unemployment, and water imported from Malaysia. In contrast, Malaysia had tin mines, rubber estates, palm oil plantations, and vast natural wealth. On paper, Malaysia was the one set for success. But here's the twist. While Malaysia relied on its resources, Singapore doubled down on discipline, planning, and human talent. Under the leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, it transformed into a global hub for finance, trade, and technology. Malaysia grew too, but at a slower, uneven pace. So from the very beginning, these brothers who fell apart chose different paths, one betting on size and resources, the other on brains and strategy. And that decision shaped everything that followed. Chapter 2, Size and Geography. When you look at the map, the first difference that jumps out is size. Singapore is a dot. You could miss it if you blink. It covers just over 700 square kilometers, about the same size as New York City. You can literally drive from one end to the other in under an hour. It's compact, dense, and every inch of land is carefully planned. Skyscrapers, housing blocks, parks, and ports are all arranged with precision because space is the one thing Singapore doesn't have to waste. Now compare that to Malaysia. It's enormous, about 330,000 square kilometers, which makes it almost 450 times bigger than Singapore. And it's not just size. Malaysia's geography is diverse and dramatic. Peninsular Malaysia stretches down from Thailand, full of bustling cities, endless plantations, and coastal towns. Then across the South China Sea, you have East Malaysia on the island of Borneo, home to towering rainforests, rare wildlife, and some of the world's oldest jungles. This difference in geography shapes everything. Singapore feels like one massive city, efficient and futuristic. Malaysia feels like a collection of many worlds in one country, urban centers like Kuala Lumpur and Penang on one side, and untouched natural wonders like Mount Kinabalu and the islands of Sabah and Sarawak on the other. So, in the simplest terms, Singapore is like a single shining city-state, polished and condensed, while Malaysia is like an entire continent squeezed into one nation. One is small but intensely focused. The other is vast, rich, and full of contrasts. Chapter 3. Money and Economy. This is where the difference between Singapore and Malaysia becomes jaw-dropping. Step into Singapore, and you'll notice something right away. The wealth. The average income here is among the highest in the world. The streets are spotless. Public transport runs like clockwork, and the skyline is filled with shining towers of banks, tech firms, and global companies. Singapore has turned itself into one of the world's financial capitals. a place where investors feel safe and business thrives. Now cross into Malaysia and the picture changes. Life is definitely cheaper. Food, housing, and transportation cost far less. But wages are also much lower. Malaysia has wealth, yes. It produces oil, gas, palm oil, rubber, and tin. But the benefits of this wealth are uneven. While Kuala Lumpur and Penang look modern and bustling, many rural areas still face slower growth and lower opportunities. The gap between rich and poor is much wider. And here's the mind-blowing part. Singapore has no natural resources at all. No oil, no gas, no farmland. Yet it's richer. Meanwhile, Malaysia is blessed with everything: land, minerals, plantations, energy sources. Yet it lags behind in income levels. Why? The answer is discipline and governance. Singapore built its success on finance, trade, strict planning, and zero tolerance for corruption. Every dollar is accounted for, every decision carefully managed. Malaysia, by contrast, has faced repeated political scandals, corruption issues, and policies that slowed growth. So while Malaysia's wealth lies in its natural resources, Singapore's secret weapon is its people, its brains, its discipline, and its ability to turn scarcity into strength. Chapter 4. Politics and Leadership. If you really want to see the difference between Singapore and Malaysia, just look at how they've been governed. In Singapore, one name stands out above all: Lee Kuan Yew. From 1959 to 1990, he led the nation with a clear vision: to turn a tiny, resource-poor island into a world-class hub. He cracked down hard on corruption, demanded discipline, and built a culture of meritocracy where the best talent rose to the top. Under his leadership, Singapore became known as a country where rules are strict but fair, where government officials are clean, and where long-term planning always comes before short-term politics. Today, that legacy continues. Singapore is often compared to Switzerland in Asia: stable, neutral, and highly respected. Now let's cross over to Malaysia. Here, politics has been far more complicated. Malaysia has had multiple prime ministers, frequent leadership changes, and policies often shaped by ethnic divisions. The government has long favored the Malay majority through affirmative action programs, which created tension among Chinese and Indian minorities. While this helped build unity for some, it also discouraged equal competition. On top of that, Malaysia has faced major political scandals, the most infamous being the 1MDB scandal, which shook global headlines and damaged trust in its leadership. These issues, combined with shifting coalitions and political infighting, have slowed Malaysia's ability to reach its full potential. So while Singapore presents itself as a disciplined, corruption-free model for the world, Malaysia feels more like a classic developing nation, full of promise, rich in culture, but still struggling with the weight of political challenges. Chapter 5. Culture and Identity. Now here's where things get really fascinating. Culture and identity. Both Singapore and Malaysia are home to Chinese, Malays, Indians, and many other communities. But the way these cultures blend is very different on each side of the border. In Malaysia, Malay culture takes center stage. Islam is the official religion, and you'll see its influence everywhere. From the call to prayer echoing from mosques to Islamic traditions shaping public life and laws. The Malay language, Bahasa Malaysia, is the national language, and policies give special privileges to Malays under what's known as Bumi Putera rights. While this creates a strong national identity, it also means other groups, like Chinese and Indians, sometimes feel like second players in the bigger story. In Singapore, things look different. No single culture dominates. Instead, the government actively promotes multiculturalism. English is the working language, which helps connect everyone, while Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil are also recognized. Walk through Singapore and you'll see Hindu temples beside mosques, churches near Buddhist temples, all existing side by side in harmony. Festivals from every culture, like Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, and Deepavali, are celebrated as national events. The result? Malaysia feels more traditional and rooted in its Malay heritage, while Singapore feels more globalized and modern, almost like a mini United Nations in Asia. So while they share the same cultural ingredients, The recipe is different. Malaysia blends its diversity under a Malay-first framework, while Singapore mixes everything equally into one global identity. Chapter 6. Food, the delicious debate. If there's one thing Singaporeans and Malaysians can never stop arguing about, it's food. Both nations are obsessed with eating, and both claim to do it better. In Malaysia, the pride runs deep. Ask any Malaysian, and they'll tell you, we invented Nasi Lemak, Satay, laksa, and roti canai. Walk through Kuala Lumpur, Penang, or Johor Bahru, and you'll find food stalls everywhere. Plastic tables on the street, smoky grills, and dishes bursting with flavor. Malaysian food is bold, spicier, and usually cheaper. It's the kind of food that feels homemade, like recipes passed down through generations. But in Singapore, the story flips. Singaporeans proudly reply, "No, we perfected it." The city's famous hawker centers are world-renowned, with stalls so good that some have even earned Michelin stars. Here, food isn't just cheap eats. It's treated as a national treasure. Clean, organized, and slightly more expensive, but still packed with incredible flavor. Dishes like Hainanese chicken rice, chili crab, and kaya toast have become internationally famous, putting Singapore on the global food map. The truth is, both countries share the same roots in food culture. Their cuisines overlap because of their shared history, with influences from Malay, Chinese, and Indian traditions. But the experience is what sets them apart. Malaysia's food feels raw, authentic, and street style. Singapore's food feels polished, orderly, and globally recognized. So who wins the food war? Honestly, everyone. Whether you're tucking into a fiery bowl of Penang laksa in Malaysia or savoring perfectly tender chicken rice in Singapore, your taste buds are the real winners. Chapter 7. Lifestyle and Cost of Living. Step into Singapore and you'll feel the pace immediately. Life here is fast, structured, and incredibly modern. The trains arrive on time down to the minute. The streets are so clean you could almost eat off the pavement, and rules are taken very seriously. Safety is top-notch. You can walk at midnight without worry. But all of this efficiency comes with a price tag. Singapore is often ranked among the most expensive cities in the world. Housing costs are sky-high, owning a car can cost as much as a small apartment, and even groceries or eating out can surprise newcomers with their price. Now compare that with Malaysia. Life here moves at a gentler rhythm. The cities are lively, but things feel less rushed, less pressured. There's more space, spacious homes, bigger plots of land, and more breathing room. And the biggest difference? The cost of living. In Malaysia, you can own a house and a car without drowning in debt. Food is affordable, daily expenses are lower, and your money stretches much further. Of course, the trade-off is clear. While Malaysia offers affordability and comfort, it doesn't always guarantee the same level of efficiency, infrastructure, or safety that Singapore prides itself on. Roads may not always be as smooth, public services may not always run on time, and rules are looser. So it all comes down to lifestyle preference. Do you want the order, speed, and polished modernity of Singapore? Or do you prefer the space, comfort, and affordability of Malaysia? Chapter 8. Education and Innovation. When it comes to education, Singapore has built a global reputation. Its schools are among the best in the world, consistently ranking at the very top for math, science, and reading. From an early age, students are pushed to excel with a system that emphasizes discipline, problem-solving, and bilingual learning. The government invests heavily in education, seeing it not just as schooling, but as the foundation of the nation's survival. After all, with no natural resources, Singapore's only resource is its people, and that means brains matter more than anything else. Beyond schools, Singapore also shines in innovation and research. It has transformed itself into a hub for technology, biotech, and finance. Global companies set up offices there, not just for business, but also to tap into Singapore's talent pool. Universities like the National University of Singapore, NUS, and Nanyang Technological University, NTU, are consistently ranked among the top in Asia. attracting students from around the world. Malaysia also has strong universities and a proud academic tradition. Schools like University Malaya, and University Sains Malaysia, USM, produce excellent graduates. But the system overall isn't as competitive or globally recognized. In fact, many Malaysians cross the border every day, not just to work in Singapore, but also to study there because opportunities are often greater on the island nation. This difference shows a larger truth. Singapore has built an innovation-driven economy, while Malaysia still leans heavily on its natural resources. One is powered by ideas, the other by land and materials. Both have their strengths, but in today's knowledge-based world, Singapore's approach gives it an edge. Chapter 9. Tourism and Attractions. Tourism is one of the clearest areas where Singapore and Malaysia show their differences. Both countries welcome millions of visitors every year, but what travelers come for couldn't be more different. In Singapore, the experience feels like stepping into the future. The skyline alone is breathtaking. Marina Bay Sands with its rooftop infinity pool, the glowing gardens by the bay with giant super trees lighting up the night, and the vibrant island of Sentosa, home to Universal Studios, luxury resorts, and family attractions. Add to that the famous shopping stretch of Orchard Road, the buzzing nightlife at Clarke Quay, and the meticulously clean streets, and you have a city that feels futuristic, polished, and almost cinematic. Tourists come here for efficiency, modern marvels, and that feeling of living in tomorrow's world. Now cross into Malaysia, and the vibe changes completely. Here, the appeal lies in its natural beauty and cultural depth. Tourists flock to Langkawi for its stunning beaches, Penang for its historic streets and world-famous food, and Borneo for its lush rainforests and rare wildlife like orangutans. Malaysia offers soaring mountains like Mount Kinabalu, hidden islands for diving, and traditional villages where life moves slowly. It's a place where adventure meets tradition, where you can explore bustling night markets one day and trek through untouched jungles the next. So the contrast is striking. Singapore is the city of the future, sleek and modern, while Malaysia is the land of natural wonders, rich, diverse, and deeply rooted in culture. Together, they offer travelers two completely different experiences, one futuristic, the other timeless. Chapter 10. Everyday life. The vibe at the heart of it all. The biggest difference between Singapore and Malaysia comes down to the vibe, the rhythm of daily life. In Singapore, the pace is fast and focused. The city feels like it's always in motion. People walk quickly, talk quickly, and everything is designed to be efficient. Trains arrive within minutes, queues move smoothly, and the work culture is competitive. There's a strong sense that time is money, and nobody wants to waste it. Life here can feel like a race, intense, structured, and driven by ambition. For some, that energy is exciting. For others, it can feel exhausting. Step into Malaysia, and the tempo slows down. Life feels warmer, more spacious, and a little more laid back. People take time to greet each other, to chat with neighbors, and to enjoy meals without rushing. Food is savored slowly, markets buzz with conversation, and even in the busiest cities, there's a sense of calm compared to Singapore's relentless pace. Work matters, yes, but life isn't just about work. It's about family, friends, and community. Each lifestyle has its pros and cons. Singapore offers the thrill of efficiency and progress, but it comes with pressure and high costs. Malaysia offers space, comfort, and warmth, but sometimes at the expense of speed and structure. Put simply, Singapore is Asia's heartbeat, fast and futuristic. Malaysia is Asia's soul, relaxed and deeply human. And together they show us two very different, but equally fascinating, ways of living in today's world. Conclusion: the big picture. So, what's the real difference between Singapore and Malaysia? Think of Singapore as a diamond, small, polished, and incredibly valuable. Every edge is sharp, every detail carefully shaped. It may not have size, but its brilliance comes from discipline, order, and the way it turns scarcity into strength. That's Singapore. Efficient, modern, and globally admired. Now picture Malaysia as a rainforest, vast, rich, and full of life. It has oil, gas, palm oil, tin, mountains, and rainforests that are the envy of the world. But just like a rainforest, it's harder to manage. It's full of beauty and diversity, but also complexity. That's Malaysia. Abundant, colorful, and deeply human. One country thrives on strict rules, planning, and structure. The other thrives on diversity, flexibility, and natural wealth. And that's the beauty of it. They are two very different stories born from the same beginning. Both are unique, both are special, and both deserve to be understood not just by numbers or stereotypes, but by the experiences of the people who live there. So let me ask you this. If you had to choose, would you rather live in tiny, efficient Singapore or in big, diverse Malaysia? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to see where you stand. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll never miss more fascinating stories like this. Because at the end of the day, learning about countries like Singapore and Malaysia isn't just about maps or history. It's about understanding how people build their lives, their cultures, and their dreams.